I'm not exactly sure how to approach starting this video. I wanted to begin with some kind of wacky intro, and then I realized how tone-deaf that would be given the subject matter. Then I remembered that I've done that before in order to lighten the mood, then I said screw it and rolled the intro. Alrighty, so today we're going to be dealing with a guy named RooshV, one of the few people on the planet who I would legitimately label as evil, because in my personal opinion, he's earned it. But sanity, reprieve, and all that fun stuff leads us into the fan art section. First we have one from Moonlight Cactus, something absolutely terrifying by PS Toxic, that's par for the course, and then probably the best representation of my well-actually face from Whimsical Sam. Alrighty, on to the video.
I recently published a proposal called How to Stop Rape, and that suggests that if we legalize rape, women will be more careful with their bodies and not go into the private rooms of men that they don't want to have sex with.
Oh? Well, unfortunately for me, I tried to access your website, and the first thing I got was an advertisement for a newsletter that looked something like this, which basically said to sign up for your newsletter so that I don't get tricked by women who have slept with multiple men. Which is really strange, considering that you label yourself a pickup artist, i.e. someone who tricks women into sleeping with you when you've slept with multiple women. Kind of an awkward double standard there. In attempting to read the article as well, I noticed that you have a note at the beginning that says the following article was published as a satirical thought experiment. I looked into some of the history of the article, and it looks like after you published it, you got a hell of a lot of backlash. Note that this all happened 4 years ago, so we've got a wonderful pool of data to look through. Based on the phrasing of your following note, from what I can tell, this note did not exist on your article in the beginning. This was published as if it was a real thought experiment. The only time that you put it as satire was when you realized that framing it as something that was serious was actually the stupidest thing you could have ever done. And the only reason that you started framing it as satirical afterwards was because you got tired of the public backlash. Either own your thoughts or apologize for being an idiot. I literally have addendums in half of my videos for stuff I got wrong in the videos, as opposed to just saying, haha, that one was satire, bro. Anywho, let's look at the article itself. The full article will be provided in the description below so you guys can get context, it's a bit of a read, but in it you can find such wonderful gems as, by attempting to teach men not to rape, what we've actually done is teach women not to care about being raped, not to protect themselves from easily preventable acts, and not to take responsibility for their actions. You know, as if being raped was anyone's fault, but the rapist. And then of course we have his wonderful solution to this problem, preventing rape by making rape legal. And I quote, "I thought about this problem and I'm sure I have the solution. Make rape legal if done on private property. I propose that we make the violent taking of a woman not punishable by law when done off public grounds." Now, let me go ahead and tell you what the end result of this would be for anybody in the audience who doesn't understand it. The end result of this would be that more rapes would happen because there would not be legal recompense for doing so. However, rapes would go unreported because there could not be legal recompense. Statistics would show a drastic drop in rapes, when in reality, the rapes themselves would increase astronomically. It seriously takes 2 seconds of thought to understand this, but apparently, Rape Shit McDingus here doesn't understand that. But now that we've shown a few glimpses of what's actually in the article, let's go ahead and continue with this video.
You would think that any idea or proposal that would decrease the amount of harm to women and decrease the number of rape would be welcomed by everyone. I mean, who doesn't want to decrease rape? Well, apparently everyone.
Probably because everyone can see that your proposal is absolute horseshit. Again, it doesn't take more than a couple seconds of thought to understand this.
Because the rage that I got from the article was intense. There were stories in Raw Story, in XO Jane, in The Mirror. I received hundreds of angry comments on Twitter. You can go see the comments on the original article. They're still frothing over it.
And in my opinion, you deserved every single bit of hatred that came your way. If someone is going to argue so passionately to empower rapists, then any amount of hate comments that come your way are probably well-deserved.
If my intention was to decrease harm to women,
But wait, I thought your intention was a satirical thought experiment. Oh, that's right. It couldn't have been a satirical thought experiment because you did not change that part of your article until you'd already received sufficient backlash to realize you had to save face.
and I provided, I believe, the arguments that show how legalizing rape would definitely decrease the rapes that we are seeing, including the fake rape of when the girl felt regret the next day.
I'm starting to smell an ulterior motive here. Am I the only one?
why would they be against this? Why wouldn't they want less women to be raped? I'm not saying legalize rape so more men can rape.
You're just too dumb to realize that legalizing rape would literally lead to more men raping. When people don't think that there's going to be repercussions for their action, it can be shown time and again that that action will be taken. As an example of this, I'd like to point out that any time an area is sufficiently destabilized due to a natural disaster, looting and crime go up. This is usually because the citizens and the authorities are too busy trying to rebuild, and as a result, it's a lot easier to break into shops and steal things like TVs. We saw this everywhere during Hurricane Katrina. I realize that of all the statements that I've made during this video, that might be the one that people have contention with, so I have provided an article below.
I'm saying legalize rape so less women would be raped.
Okay, and how exactly do you expect that to work?
Let's imagine right now that some academics and researchers read my idea and thought, you know what, maybe he has a point. So let's do the necessary research to see if his policy proposal would, in fact, reduce rape. And let's imagine that a year after the research that they do, they can prove, yeah, Roosh was right. Legalizing rape would definitely decrease rape. Less women would be harmed. Let's sign off on this and make legislation which would legalize rape in a private room, which would now require a woman not to self-drug herself with alcohol so much that she's unable to judge a man's worth.
Oh boy, I'm gonna stop you right there. So, this dude has actually written some books, and this is pertinent to the conversation. Let me go ahead and grab a quote from his book, Bang Iceland. While walking to my place, I realized how drunk she was. In America, having sex with her would have been rape, since she couldn't legally give her consent. It didn't matter if I was relatively sober, but I can't say I cared or even hesitated. I won't rationalize my actions, but having sex is what I do. So before you get to go any further on that whole drugged up enough to not understand the worth of the man she's about to sleep with tidbit, I'd like to point out that you yourself like being the man who they can't tell the worth of. In your own words, in your own book that you sold for profit. You literally glorified rape for money. Capitalism, everybody.
Where she is unable to know if she wants to have sex with the man or not before entering a private room.
Something that I can't even give the principle of charity for you caring about, since your own words directly contradict this in your own literature.
Would people be happy about that? Of course not. The comments that you are seeing now would show that the rage would be 10 times as large. Everyone would say that this is a law that is anti-women and misogynist and the world is ending and so on.
You exist in a world where saying that raping women should be legal is not somehow anti-women? Please, tell me more.
So this is where you may now be confused, because I thought promoting rape culture is meant to protect women, is to keep them safe. But here we may have a policy which keeps them safer.
No, we don't, and nobody's promoting rape culture. The word you're looking for is exposing. And I'll be honest, your existence may actually be one of the best examples for that concept. And no, we do not here have a policy that will lower rapes.
So where is this conflict coming from? And I can tell you exactly where it's coming from. My policy to reduce rape is a thought experiment which shows that rape culture is not about keeping women safe. The response shows that this rape hysteria and all the new laws, such as Yes Means Yes law in California, such as the kangaroo courts we're seeing in universities, is really a system to persecute the most amount of men possible. The goal of this is to keep men in a pre-crime state where any man can be plucked out of his normal life and be charged with rape for a rape that did not actually happen. He can go to jail, he can lose his job, he can be kicked out of school, he can be shamed on the internet so he can't find future employment.
And while we agree on one thing here, false accusations of rape should be taken very seriously since those are career-ending events, what we definitely disagree on is whether or not your proposal will do anything to fix this. All your proposal will do, i.e. making it so that rape is legal in private instances, is increase the amount of domestic rapes that happen and make it to where as long as somebody can get a woman into his house, he's legally allowed to do whatever the hell he wants with her. You might see this as a positive thing, given that all of your literature that you've written is pro-rape, but in reality, it's not. And for proposing the stuff that you are, I would think that people would sooner boil their own teeth than sleep with you.
If right now your good intentions suggest a policy that would decrease rape, but not increase the amount of persecution men face, it will be hated on. It won't pass at all. Because the goal is not to decrease rape, to keep women safe. The goal is to increase the danger that men are in, to increase the harm that men face every day.
And again, proof that this was never a satirical thought experiment to begin with. You're being very serious about your proposal. But let me go ahead and help you out. Let me offer you a little bit of advice. When we do a thought experiment like this, the idea is to propose a reasonable suggestion. This reasonable suggestion will inevitably pull people out of the woodworks and show what they're actually trying to do. This is something that I've done when I did my video on transgender athletes and proposed a third way. In so doing, it became a lot more obvious which people were actually being transphobic and which people were a little too invested in sports ball. That's how you do a thought experiment like this. It also helped that when I did my video, it was actually my real opinion that I had given on stream before, just cut down to edited video form. What you're doing, however, is not that. What you're doing is basically proposing a reductio ad absurdum and then failing to view the responses that you've gotten through that lens. Here, let me clean up your thought experiment a little bit. I have a proposal that will end all rape. It will also end all child predators, it will end all thievery, it will even end world hunger. And I do not take full credit for this. This is a thought experiment that was given to me by Ocean Keltoy. But allow me to present to you full-scale thermonuclear war as an answer to all of the world's problems. Animals can't go extinct if there are no animals. Child predators can't do anything if there are no child predators or children. Rapists can't rape when victims and rapists no longer exist. And it is incredibly hard to starve when you're already atomized. Now, when you do a thought experiment like that, it's very easy to tell that somebody's going to say, no, we don't want that. But that's basically what you've done. You've attempted to solve all the world's problems with full-scale thermonuclear war. Just replace nuclear war with, legalization of rape. Maybe viewing it through that lens will help you clean up your thought experiment. Except that would require me to be charitable enough to assume that you actually meant this thought experiment in good faith. I'm willing to assume, based on the literature you've written, that the reason you espouse this stupid idea is because you personally would like the ability to rape more often, but not have to worry about legal repercussion. Again, I'll go ahead and point back to your part in Bang Iceland, where you said that what you did would have been considered rape in the US, but because you were abroad, you wouldn't rationalize your actions. Normally, I'm willing to grant the principle of charity, but it's very hard to do so when somebody's arguing like you. But that's not all that I'm going to be getting into today. No, apparently this person has decided to go the route of computing forever and take the God pill. For those of you who remember, that's basically taking the final pill after the red and black pills, because apparently theism is the only thing that can keep you from having to be depressed in life, I guess. If I were to go ahead and levy my suspicions, though, I'd imagine that after doing so many heinous things, this is, again, the only way for him to save public face. But he does this at the exact same time as celebrating his interview with E. Michael Jones, who's the guy behind the Culture Wars magazine, who, at time of writing, has a most recent issue called The Jewish Privilege, which, again, if we're gonna go ahead and continue not being charitable, because I don't think there's really a way to do so, I'm gonna go ahead and call this anti-Semitic, which the readers of the magazine would say is hilarious, because this article is about anti-Semitism being weaponized, apparently. They've also unironically published things like Warner Heisenberg and Jewish Science. So all I can say is based on the stuff that I've dug up, which is only a minutia of the information on RooshV, I think it's needless to say that this is not the last time he's going to be making an appearance here. So that was certainly a light and fluffy episode that everybody enjoyed, I'm sure. Till next time, it's Friday, and I'm gonna go rest. Insert end of video tagline here.